So Ghana's got this major new law on the table, and it's aimed squarely at regulating what we all see and share online. It's called the MDHI bill, and trust me, it could really change the game for how the internet works in the country. Let's break it all down.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? When you're just scrolling and scrolling, how do you even begin to draw that line between what's true, what's false, and what's genuinely harmful? It's a puzzle that countries all over the world are trying to solve, and this new bill is Ghana's attempt at an answer.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at what this bill actually is, what kind of content it targets, who the new enforcer is going to be, what happens if you break the rules, and, probably most important, why any of this matters to you.
Okay, first things first. What is this bill actually trying to accomplish? Let's get into its core purpose.
Well, the bill wastes no time telling us what it's all about. Right there in Section 1, it says the goal is to shield people and institutions from real-world harm. We're talking threats, violence, even public panic that starts online. At its heart, this is a law about protection.
And let me tell you, the net they're casting here is wide. Section 2 makes it clear this isn't just about so-called fake news. It's targeting 5 pretty distinct areas: misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, sharing private info without consent, and even leaking confidential government stuff.
Okay, but if you're going to regulate all this content, you have to be super clear about what you mean, right? So how does the bill actually define these things? The specific wording here is absolutely crucial.
So first, we've got misinformation. This one is pretty straightforward. It's just sharing false or inaccurate info. But here's the kicker. Your intention doesn't matter at all. You could share something completely by accident, and under this bill, it could still be considered misinformation.
Now, disinformation is where things get a little more, well, malicious. This isn't just an honest mistake. This is when someone knowingly shares false information because they are actively trying to mislead or manipulate people.
So let's just put this side by side to make it crystal clear. Both are about spreading false information. But with misinformation, it doesn't matter what you were trying to do. With disinformation, that intent to deceive is the entire point. It all comes down to that one word: intent. The bill also takes on hate speech, and it defines it pretty clearly. We're talking about any communication that attacks a whole group of people based on their identity. You know, their race, their religion, their gender, and so on. All right, so you've got the rules, but who's going to be the referee here? You can't have a new rule book without an umpire. Well, the bill creates a whole new organization just for that.
As outlined in Section 9, a powerful new enforcement body will be created. Now, the full name is a bit of a mouthful, so let's just call it the Division for short. This is going to be the group in charge of making sure everyone follows these new rules.
And according to Section 11, this isn't some toothless committee. We're talking about a group with some serious power. They won't just sit back and wait. They're going to actively investigate complaints, decide who's at fault, hand out punishments, and even run public awareness campaigns.
So how does this actually play out? Well, there's a pretty clear 4-step process. It starts when someone files a complaint. That kicks off an investigation. The person accused gets a chance to tell their side of the story, and then the division makes a final binding decision.
A binding decision is one thing, but what happens if you're found to have broken the rules? What are the actual teeth behind this law? Let's take a look at the penalties. The division has a few main tools in its toolbox, which are called directions. Think of these as legally binding orders. They can order you to publish a correction, tell you to stop sharing something, or even force you to take it down completely. And we're not talking about a slap on the wrist here. The financial penalties can get pretty steep. For the really serious stuff, like hate speech that leads to what the bill calls aggravated violence, the fines can be huge. That's a serious deterrent. And it doesn't just stop at fines. For those same severe cases, the consequences can jump to the criminal level, with the possibility of facing up to a full year in jail. So the key thing to get here is that you can't just ignore these orders. If you do, it triggers a whole cascade of even tougher consequences, from getting websites blocked to having the division ask social media companies to shut down your entire account. So why should you care about any of this? Well, this isn't just some abstract legal document. If it passes, it's going to have a real impact on pretty much everyone who uses the internet in Ghana. And a huge reason why is that this bill puts new responsibilities on, well, just about everybody. Media companies will need to have dedicated fact-checking teams.
Tech platforms have to run risk assessments. Even social media influencers will have a duty to fact-check what they post. When you boil it all down, what this bill is really trying to do is pull off a very, very tricky balancing act. On one side, you have the goal of protecting people from real harm. And on the other, you have the fundamental, constitutional right to freedom of speech.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The bill itself basically admits how complicated this is. This quote right from Section 5 says that any decision has to weigh the benefit of free speech for one person against the benefit of protecting another person from harm.
And that really is the million-dollar question this whole thing leaves us with, isn't it? In this digital world we all live in, where do you draw that line between protecting people and censoring them? There are no easy answers here, which makes this a debate that not only Ghana, but the whole world will be watching very closely.